This table feels different tonight. For so many reasons, this table feels different tonight. It is usually a table of grace and of mercy, of hospitality and of love, a table of blessing. On Sunday morning, we gather at this table for a humble feast that reminds us of all that Christ has done for us, that reminds us that Christ welcomes us again and again, and we are grateful. On Sunday mornings, we gather for the blessings of this table, that we who are blessed might carry those blessings into the world and be blessings to others. But tonight, this table feels different. It feels different, I think, because we have not reached that point in the story. That point in the story where we are truly and completely and fully forgiven, enveloped in the love of God, welcomed into God's reign of love. And Jesus knows what is going to happen. Less than a week ago, Jesus rode into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey, in a prophetic act to say the Messiah is here. The empire will be defeated. The powers of sin and death and everything that makes life less will be no more. And there was a chance. There was a chance as the people shouted, Hosanna, as the people threw cloaks on the road. There was a chance, however slim, that everything would be okay. But as Jesus has gone through the week, he has made enemies. Enemies of the religious authorities, enemies of the political authorities, enemies perhaps of the people. And now he is at this table with his disciples, with these people who claim to follow him, with these folks who, even though they don't yet have the word, would call themselves Christian. And he knows. He knows that one of the people at this table will betray him. He knows that one of the people at this table will deny him. He knows that some of the people at this table will scatter. He knows that he will be arrested, that he will be given a cursory questioning by corrupt political forces, that he will stand before the empire, that he will be sentenced by the powers of sin and death and everything that makes life less to rot in a prison in El Salvador. No, wait. That feels like it's not quite right. But I have been told, I have been taught by Basil of Caesarea, by John Chrysostom, by the fathers of the church, by the mothers of the church, by the doctors of the church. I have been shown by Martin Luther King and Oscar Romero, by James Cone, by Gustavo Gutierrez, by Helen Prejean, by the saints of the church, by the heroes of the church. I have been told by Christ himself that Christ is found among the hungry and the thirsty and the naked, among the foreigner and the sick and the imprisoned. If I am looking for Christ anywhere, if I am looking for Christ anywhere, It is in hospitals and homeless shelters. It is in soup kitchens and under overpasses. It is in abandoned homes and Home Depot parking lots. And yes, in prisons here and prisons far away. If I'm looking for Christ anywhere, it is among the oppressed, it is among the marginalized, it is among the forgotten, it is among those who the powers that be, who the powers of empire, who the powers of sin and death and everything that makes life less would like us to forget. And now, on this night, on this Maundy Thursday, I am invited to sit at a table with that Christ. The Christ who knows what is coming. The Christ who knows that there is almost no time left. The Christ who knows that he will be led to a hill far away where there will stand an old rugged cross, and he will be nailed to it and left to die. There is some oddity with Maundy Thursday. There is some strangeness with this. The stories change through the Gospels a little bit. Tonight in Luke, we get the institution of the Last Supper, but in John, other things happen too, when we kind of meld them all together in our imaginations. There is the table. There is washing of feet. There is the inversion of powerful and powerless. And there is this commandment. This mandatum. Jesus Christ, knowing that he had a few hours left, chose to wash feet, chose to serve his friends, even the one who would betray him, even the one who would deny him, even the ones who would scatter. And he chose to tell us to love one another as he has loved us. And that one another is a big one another, because that one another includes Christ. The Christ who is among the hungry and the thirsty and the naked, the foreign and the sick and the imprisoned. The Christ who is always among the powerless and the marginalized and the oppressed and the forgotten and those whom the powers of sin and death and everything that makes life less would like us to forget. And so as we gather at this table tonight, it feels different. Because as we gather at this table tonight, we gather with those who do not have a seat at the table. With those who have been kept from the table, with those who have been pushed from the table, with those who have had the seat ripped out from under them as they tried to sit, with those for whom there is no place setting. Because we gather at this table with Christ. And he feeds us. He feeds us his body. He feeds us his blood. He feeds us his covenant. And I don't know in what sense that is true. I'm not going to get into the deep theology of it. But somehow it is true. Somehow we are greeted by Christ. We are hosted by Christ to feast on Christ. To feast on love in the hope beyond hope, that we will be filled with love and can carry that love to every corner, to every shadow, to every forgotten place of the world. in the hopes that we will remember, in the hopes that we will remember that we are called to follow Christ wherever Christ may lead, in the hopes that we will never betray or deny Christ again, in the hopes that we will travel with Christ until every cross is torn down, until every prison is emptied, until everyone has a seat at the table and enough and more than enough to feast upon. And so let that be the lesson of this table that feels different. Let that be the call that we heed at this humble feast. Because maybe, just maybe there's a chance that this year, that this time, that this world can change, that everything will be all right, and that God's reign of love will blossom all around us. For that would be a wonderful world.